the foreign like kung fu martial arts films that I watch. I'm like, I want this creativity with an American style plot, like beginning, middle, and end.
Or hell, just like East meets West. It doesn't even have to be American. Just East meets West.
Yeah.
This is in the middle of the ocean. Yep.
Yeah, Hawaii.
Island, so.
Oh, yeah. No, it's true. Guys, I seriously feel so good about my writing.
Oh, good.
No. Just like, sorry, not that I think it's going to be good, because that's still going to be subjective, but just the process that I've taken. So thank you for saying if it's fulfilling, just go with it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it's been a whole week and you're still feeling great about it. So like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah. Did you see me like look and analyze? Oh no.
Have I been thinking about it for a week?
Oh no. No, it's clearly been a week because we're all dressed differently.
Yeah.
Obviously, because there's no possible way we could have different clothes.
Not at all.
Ever, yeah.
I might be wearing the same pants. I'm not sure.
We're in the studio. Oh, are you? Are you wearing pants?
Maybe.
You guys are wearing pants?
Yeah.
You know it's my contract. I don't have to wear pants. It's my contract.
We can restart that over. I would love that.
No.
I think it's funny.
This is real life.
With it for him.
I do. How do I convince
Live
you
without
to
you. Wait, what do you want me to do?
Edit that part out. Not that part, but the previous part.
This part.
You could have added. You could have had me singing Tasha Bedingfield.
You had me at hello.
You did. You kind of did though, but
a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't in a dinosaur costume the first time you met me.
No, he acknowledged my Orion tattoo.
Yeah.
And he had me at. Is that Orion?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like hello.
That's true.
That was our meet cute. Yeah.
Kind of the same.
I recognize Orion.
Well, you were too late.
You're not Mexican, man.
I need to find another person. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was good, Nick. You know, again, I jokingly say that, like, not jokingly, it literally was like, you know what, I'm done dating. Like, I can't do this online dating stuff anymore.
You found me.
Yeah, I found you, and then my life went up.
Yeah.
Like a roller coaster. We're happy or not.
It all started with lies. Like, I'm done dating.
Yeah, I was wearing a construction hat. It was fun. A little plastic construction hat.
It was
like a Bob the Builder. Like,
honestly, yeah.
A chintzy little, like, it wasn't a real hard hat. It was like that flimsy plastic. It was
when you get on like Amazon, and he was eating a sandwich.
I was. It's this weird like place before they like reconstructed it. They had the like bathrooms on one side, and then they had a sink across the hall when you exited the bathroom. And I'm like, what? Like, but that's where I like was hiding my sandwich when people weren't there. So I would go over and then put it back. Yeah.
I wonder if no, I'm not even going to wonder. There's a lot of things I could wonder about that aren't worth thinking about.
Yeah. That building was made in like probably the 60s or 70s.
I wonder if it was like an old like school.
Insane asylum? Oh. Yes.
Could be.
Maybe, yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
They used to perform lobotomies there with no anesthesia.
Yeah. This is all a dream for me. You guys are fake. You know, I'm an asylum.
Yeah, isn't that like the plot of Sucker Punch?
Yes, it is. Totally.
Okay.
Well, not kind of.
Speaking of Zack
Schneider.
No, just kidding. We're not going to talk about him at all. We are Bards and Balladeers. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to our podcast. Podcast about story in all of its forms. And so all three of us are creators in some way. I'm Kate. I'm a fantasy author, also musician. And then my co-host here.
I'm Oscar. I write historical novels and also nonfiction.
Yeah. And I'm Rio. And I write fantasy and I guess kind of nonfiction fantasy in a way. Like, you know, so.
All of the above.
And also a gamer by just living life, I guess, right?
Student of life, in a way. We all
study.
Don't hate the gamer, hate the game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, it's don't hate the player, hate the game.
Oh, okay. With that said, join us we are on several different social medias. I don't know how you want to call them, but YouTube platforms. There we go. Yeah. Join us on several different platforms. You have many options. We're on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, And we are also collectively on Discord. So you can join us there, have discussions with us, share memes, share comments, thoughts about these episodes wherever you may be watching them. Feel free to also comment on those specific platforms, but Discord is our place where you can talk to us directly. And share funny things, ask us about, certain thoughts. Like I have a tendency to sometimes forget where I was going with a comment or a thought. And so you can ask about it there. Might not remember it, but
right. But once you talk about it, you don't remember it. So remember that time that you said you like kangaroos?
Yeah, I remember that time.
If you wanted to remember it, make sure to keep up with our episodes and not watch. Watching them late is better than never. But
that is true.
But if you wanted to remember it, watch it as soon as it drops.
That's true.
And if you reference it later, let us know what episode it's for, so we can go back and look at it.
Cite your sources. Of course.
Yeah. Timestamps are even better.
That is true. That is true.
You can do that on YouTube. Yeah, you can be like, when you share it, you can select put time on there. So you can it'll bring you right to the whatever.
And half the time it'll even work.
Yes.
It should. It's true. And for all those platforms, we do have links in the description down below. And then I was going to try not to say links in the description.
There's links to all of our individual websites down there too.
Thanks, Oscar. That's what he's here for. Yeah, he is. But today we are talking about gateways in stories. Does anybody else want to take that and summarize it better than me?
Yeah, gateways are great ways. Branching tales. What we're talking about is those points in a story where you could totally see a story, like a whole other story branching out from that point. Think like spin-offs of TV shows is a great example. It could be a character-driven thing, like, I want to know more about this character. That can create a whole spin-off, like, Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah.
Or a plot, hey, I want to know more about this war they're referring to that happened in the past. Or it could be a world thing, like, I want to know more about this aspect of the world that you're selling me. So any of those things, those points where a story can branch into other stories if you allow it to.
I mean, I really think there's an infinite possibility with that, honestly, because I keep doing it and it's not derailing. It's just adding to the story, but I keep getting away from the main story plot. So I feel like I'm going to have all these different stories from Never Told and Of Old and everything. And I'm never going to get back to the main story and people are going to get mad at me for it. But no, it's just, it's when you live in these worlds long enough, I guess you care about these people, but you also can see their lives lived, and you want to know these lives lived, and like everyone's got a story. And again, it's one of the things that we always, with Lovely Woods and the publishing company that we always knew that we wanted to open up the world to other people because other people have voices, other people have ideas and stuff like that could definitely add to it. And again, we've talked about in the past that we have our first author who is writing for Lovely Woods that isn't either one of us. And they're going to write a story about a mother's perspective on something, and as much as I am she jokingly says, student of life, you don't always have those perspectives like that other people have lived, or just, again, I can never have the true female perspective, but there are people who do. And I really want to tap into that because I think they can add a lot to a story that I could never do. So it's one of those things where if you follow a story or a person or a plot and everything, you can go almost anywhere. I really believe that, so, I mean, even with your characters and everything, you have three main characters, but then you have this whole family around them that you possibly could write more about them or even prequels or whatever.
And which story? Sorry,
Conquering Chronicles.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But if you go to even because of the Greater Wilds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another one too, where you wrote new characters that would never exist in my world, but that now do,
And I think that's one of the beautiful parts about, these sort of pillars that Oscar, told me about, but that we keep referencing in our episodes, that there's world building, plot, character, and sometimes a fourth one. It's the method of storytelling. Forgive me. Mm-hmm. That you can also, when you're collaborating with other authors, you can tap into those specialties as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that sort of came true with Valkus of the Greater Wilds, which, to help explain, Rio's primary novel series right now is the Never Told Stories. And together, was it last year, the year before? Oh my gosh. I don't know. What is time?
Yeah,
time is relevant. He wanted to collaborate and make an offshoot to sort of just expand on the beasts, which we call Valkis in the world. And that collaboration, he had plot points that he wanted to sort of happen. And then he just gave me free reign to sort of explore and create characters at my free will. I don't know, at my leisure.
Discretion.
At my discretion, all of the above.
I mean, at Lovely Woods, we do have free range authors. So yeah.
We do.
Are they organic?
They are
organic. Hormone free. No. But
cage free
cage
though.
free. No.
Yeah. No, they're going to stay there until they get done.
I haven't been invited upstairs. I don't know what I would see there.
We're in a
A
studio.
lot of leather.
We're in a studio, but being able to sort of lean into my, I don't want to say expertise, at least my preferred medium of my preferred pillar of character creation, and knowing that he wanted it to be a sort of journal style kind of gave me a box and a way to work in. But as creators, as writers, we find a way to make it work with the limits that we have. And that helped create a story that has now created other spinoffs too.
Oh, right. Because we wrote that story for the anthology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if like we did nothing else, but like you just write a short story in like my world and everything, your perspective is solely unique to anything that I can do.
Sure.
And that's why like collaboration, even doing this for us three, doing a podcast is a collaboration. Because any of us could have sat down and did a podcast and just talked for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But this dynamic works better because you need, if not to like bounce off of people, but also just to get those other perspectives. And then we hear something, then we talk about that, and we talk about that, and we talk about that. And it's all just it's building a deck of cards, I guess.
It's
in a way,
the marketplace of ideas.
Yes. Hey,
and I am curious, Oscar, like, have you ever considered that for your own stories, whether or not you would write it yourself? Or because I know you have your fiction, your historical fiction, but you also have your nonfiction, but within your fiction realm, because you do have some wonderful characters that some people have latched onto. I have very personal ties to some of these characters, and if bad things happen to them, I will be very upset.
She will.
Yes. She's in striking distance, so be careful.
I'm very nervous for them. But have you ever considered something like that for your own works?
I've actually actively considered it, and I think I'm likely to do it in this one very specific way, at least for my pirate trilogy. And this is not something you need to wait for. Waiting for my third book is enough. This is something that's not going to be required for the trilogy. But I thought what I would do is write a book, and my books tend to be around like 21 chapters or so. And I would kind of do 20 or so chapters where each chapter is a slice of backstory from each of 20 or so different characters.
Ooh.
And they might not all be good guys.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, but I think I would like to do that. And so each of those is like a gateway into another whole story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like that could lead to other big stories in that realm. I'm not intending that, but just those shorts, like, 20, 25 pages each, would be something that'd be fun for me to do. I mean, even when I was running my pirate game, the RPG, that there were spinoffs from that because I already have all this material, the setting material.
Sure.
So I ran a smuggler's campaign in that same world. And I even ran a shorter version, which I alluded to a few weeks ago, that was like, two guys who were marooned.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
One of them got killed right away by doing something he shouldn't have done because he thought it's like, this will be like D&D. No, GURPS is gritty.
Did he die from bad rolls or just like?
No, he died from completely dead average rolls and what should have happened as a consequence of what he tried to pull.
Fair enough. Yeah.
No, he got a couple of gunshots. It's like, I told you this was going to happen, man.
He's not making it back from that.
Yeah, no.
You mean I bleed when I'm shot?
Yeah. And then you get pitched overboard.
Yeah.
It's dead weight. Sorry. That was kind of hilarious in its way. But no, I love spin-off kind of things. I love secondary characters, and I I have a lot of secondary characters as point of view characters, and that works. That's kind of important for intrigue, I think. Sure. Even though I have multiple main characters, even you can't have everything done from just their points of view. And I get invested in my point of view characters and various secondary characters. And there's a lot of them where I think, I kind of want to follow this character a little bit more, and I have to stop myself.
Sure.
It's just like with any open door, you have to stop yourself from like kind of peeking in too far, going through it and just continuing down that way.
Yeah.
So I would love to do some of that with, I've got a sci-fi novel I want to write. I don't know if that would lead to spinoffs, but I could see it. I've considered like the way that I want that to end. I could see that leading like, further out into space.
Sure.
Doesn't have
most
to.
Things do. Yeah.
Yeah. But this would start out as it would look like a post-apocalyptic AI earthbound story.
Oh, sure.
And so like, okay, well, that could still lead to other planets. And I kind of think it'd be a nice little way to end that.
Yeah.
Leave that open. But I've definitely considered it, and I've actually done it in role-playing stuff. I think I had 4 or 5 different Shadow World timelines running. They were all in the same universe. They weren't separated.
Sure.
So I love that stuff.
What do you feel like with, I know, again, when we're writing, there's plenty of things that we can, because just as creatives, we just keep thinking of things. We can't stop thinking of things. At least I feel that way. Yeah. But what do you think of like movies and everything that continue to do it? I don't say just because they can, but they continue doing it because there's maybe money involved or whatever, when they're perfectly contained as a solo thing or as like a one trilogy or whatever. Like I always think about like Independence Day or even The Matrix, stuff like that, like where stories are just fine not the way they are, but then they always find another reason to, because either they want to give up the IP or like they're trying to maintain like that stories. Because do you think that just because you can, you should? Like
definitely not.
Yeah.
And also there are times where I think, okay, this would do really well, but then it depends on if it's done well.
Sure. The execution, right?
Yeah. Like for example, and this is actually a great example of that, and also spinoffs. The original Stargate movie. I was at the time that I saw this in the theater. I was an astrophysics student. And so the first half hour of that film, I was like, this is awesome. And then it turned into a war movie.
Sure.
And I was very, very disappointed by that.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate it now for what it is, but I was like the stuff that's in that first half hour, I'm like, this is groundbreaking sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then it went to, this is really bog standard sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe that's what most people would have wanted. Maybe the other stuff would have lost most people, but I really wanted something that I could really fully get into.
Yeah.
And then of course they did the series, like multiple series based off of it. And that's all spin-off stuff. And a lot of people have said really good things about specific ones or multiple ones.
Yeah.
And so, like there's a lot of argument out there that various ones were done well. Obviously it's TV. They're all done for money essentially, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean they're done badly and that they shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that with the movie specifically, sort of a tangent point, but I want to say it, that just to have conflict, you don't have to have war. And it's funny that a lot of sci-fi does that.
I think, a lot of our speculative fiction does that. And I don't know if it's the influence of gaming, video games or role-playing games or any of that stuff, or previous sci-fi and fantasy. I don't know the reason for it. But it could just be humanity too. Like, what's the most basic form of conflict we can think of? Like actual fights.
Right. Yeah.
And how do you get the most people to resonate with something? Well, you go to the most basic level of it.
Yeah.
And that's the financial drive.
Very strong opposing forces. Cause I won't lie, like I'm guilty of it. Like there's war referenced and utilized in later like installments of my big story, but it's not like, it's almost like every example of sci-fi does utilize it. So like you said, it's the most basic sort of version of conflict. But it can be done well. Right. I just thought it was interesting to acknowledge that.
And I find it interesting too that so much fantasy is derivative of Tolkien.
Yeah.
But the war part was not what solved the problem in that world.
Right.
That was all distraction. And yet people who derive their stuff of it, there's always big final battle stuff that solves the problem. So, that kind of tells you, how people kind of want to steer things.
Well, think about when those books were kind of written, there's around 2 big wars and everything.
Right. But I mean, they still had this mainline example of another way to do things, which was Tolkien.
Sure. But I mean, I feel like a lot of people, not just for them writing the stories, but like why people enjoy, like it's easy to look at a war and see good guy, bad guy. And then the conflicts that went into that and have the struggles, that was important to people. So it's easy to see that. But I think that, war is built into just everything. Like, and I say war, like nature is a war for survival, right? It's survival is part of war.
Well, I think of that as conflict. Like war seems like a specifically military.
Yeah, but then you're just talking about numbers. I mean, I get military, but then you can consider a war between like ape tribes or something like that.
If there's civilization, there tends to be war. I don't agree with that, but it's just an observation of things from fantasy to sci-fi. And I won't lie, I do love war stories. Like it's one of my favorite, plots in like fiction genres. Thank you.
Military. Like there's a whole genre called military sci-fi.
Really?
Yeah.
It's big.
Oh,
yeah.
Katie just found a new favorite genre. But even with that said, I do think that the war, that genre of story is built on, different characters and different plot lines coming to a head, right? And we're talking about, gateways and spinoffs and things like that, which tend to be, as you guys were talking before, tend to be like based off of either a specific character that people are connecting with and they want to see more of that character. Not necessarily like fan fiction, but actual like canon, plot lines, or like a particular setting that people just kind of like. Maybe that's generalizing it down way too much, but it feels like those are the kind of things that we get maybe majority of spinoffs from.
I agree. You don't see a lot of like plot spinoffs because plots, the general sense is that you want a plot to wrap up.
Right.
And so, but like side plots are a different thing where like, okay, there's this thing. There's like, think of like a side quest, like, okay, this people went off and did this thing and then came back. Like, but you just refer to that, they came back and here's what they discovered. Well, you could build a whole thing out of that. That would be a side plot. That would be, but you do mostly, I think, see character-based or world-based ones. I mentioned Better Call Saul earlier, and it's funny. I was watching it. I will have a lot of Babylon 5 examples for this one. This is the one I was talking about weeks ago when I said that. But it's funny. I was watching a Babylon 5 reaction not too long ago because I'm that guy. I'm that kind of nerd. And there's like these 4 guys, and there's this episode. There's this character named Drawl, and like takes over. He's like becomes custodian of like this planetary technology thing. And at some point, like, the people in the station get into trouble and like thinking, maybe we need its help. And one of the reactions is like, better call Drawl. And he didn't mean it as a joke.
Yeah.
And so, but in my head, I'm like, well, there's a whole spinoff there.
Yes.
Better call Drawl. Like you just think of the same like graphic, but with this, Minbari guy.
That's fantastic.
He's got a nice suit on and everything.
But stuff like that, but even just Rings of Power, like that's a spinoff that's world based.
Absolutely.
Like the material's there and the money grab was, just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
It was not done the right way, if you ask me.
Didn't they not have access to all the like material? Like they can only use certain things.
I believe so.
I'm pretty sure that's what was one of the problems. Like
did they not get the rights?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I just think they could only use something like that wasn't in the films or something like that. I would fact check us on that one.
There's so much of that that's not in the films that they could have used. There's a lot of differences let's just say there's a lot of differences from the source material.
Still I've heard. I haven't watched it.
Which tends to be the case when you translate something from the written version to a visual type medium, which is a shame. But at the same time, I do, I will acknowledge like Rings of Power, like aesthetically it was stunning, and like the music of course was beautiful. But I agree, like I was not pleased with how it was written. And even though a couple weeks ago we had an interview with Dennis where we acknowledged that sometimes you just have to take things at face value. That's one, not for me. I was not the chosen demographic for that show. Well, I accept it.
Probably were, just they failed you.
Oh, like, maybe.
You can take it at face value, and the face value can be like, well, this sucks. Like, sure. And I can I watched it with my cousin, not all of it, but like the first season, and it's like I can appreciate it for what it is, but it's not really Tolkien anymore.
Again, probably if it wasn't called Rings of Power or associated with that, and they had nothing to do, it'd probably be fun. Rob, there is an expectation though.
There is. I mean, there are still like I try to look at the Lord of the Rings trilogy of live action movies with an eye of like, if I'd never read the source material, what would I think of this? And I'm like, there's still large patches that I feel like that I would feel were mediocre.
Sure.
And I think that for those patches, the people who are doing these productions a lot of the time are relying on people loving, like not necessarily the source material, but loving all the other stuff that they just kind of like, oh, okay.
Just something to fill the time, right?
Yeah. They'll sacrifice some gaps for their loyalty to the material. And I'll do that with like some of my favorite like martial arts films, that are cheap stories, but gosh, I love them. And, I'll say, you know what, I'll forgive some of the plot holes or plot just like vacancies. It's the same thing. For just a fun action-packed movie.
But you go to those specifically for that reason, and you have an expectation that you're okay with it. Like, because you're like, this is not gonna be good, but there's somebody's gonna get their ass kicked. It's gonna be fun.
And it's filmed very well.
Well, like, speaking of, all these properties, like, can you think of like a TV show or a movie or a book or anything like that where you watched it and you had the thought, I would love to see a series about this or another whole movie about that? Like what was one of those gateways for you with an existing intellectual property that's not yours?
So to kind of an extent, like, so Rogue One and everything, and they did do Andor.
That's the Star Wars is getting more and more examples.
Yeah. And they did do Andor, and it was fine and everything. But the only thing I wanted from the whole show was just K2SO and Cassian. And then they gave us this whole backstory and everything. And
for Cassian.
And it was a good story. It was a good plot and everything. When I got to the end, because they were talking about like, oh, you're gonna get to the last episode and you're gonna watch Rogue One and you're gonna see with new eyes. I'm like, I didn't care. Like at the end of the second season, not because it wasn't good. It's just like, it didn't really add anything to it. Like, it added backstory and filled the characters out more. But all I wanted to see was how K2SO and Cassian got together, and then like their fun banter and their little struggles. Those adventures I would have loved.
So that's one that they could have done but didn't. Because they did. And again, I don't want to say it wasn't good, because it was good. It's just like not the story that I wanted, or like not the story arc or like the following. Wait, so they did do it or they didn't do it?
They did do Andor. They did 2 seasons of Andor.
I mean that specific kind of
They did
plot.
not.
No, they did not.
There's still room for exploring the K2SO relationship.
That gateway was never explored.
Correct.
Right. I mean, they showed it and they kind of had a little banter and it felt good for a little bit, but it was just like, oh no, we're still doing all this like other rebellion stuff. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what this show was for. I
just wanted the character.
I'm trying not to crap on it too much, because again, it was done well, what we gave. It's just that like, that's not the story I cared as much about. Like,
it wasn't what you wanted. Other people probably wanted it, and they did well by them.
And it served a purpose. And there were some characters I felt like, we didn't really need them when we had like K2SO that we could have explored a little more. But that is okay. For me, I mean, Rogue One was one of those examples that I was thinking of too. But forgive me, was the question some examples that we know that do this, or that we wish
that you wish had been done, but hadn't, like, didn't happen?
Sure.
So like, but like where you were watching something and you thought, this is a story I want to know more about, either a character based or anything like that.
I have one for you actually. Scavenger's Reign.
Oh.
Because they didn't follow. So Scavenger Reign is an animated show.
You said it's an example for me, but I don't know what.
I thought you would look because
I liked it. I loved the show. I loved the one season.
Yeah, it was just one season, and that's the problem. Like this thing should have been like 2 or 3 seasons, 4, 5, 6. I don't care. It is one of the most ingenious sci-fis I have ever seen. Like it's beautifully. I mean, animation is kind of weird, but it's so just beautiful and artistic and everything. And it's such a. I don't even want to say anything about it because it is something that I think you would appreciate and that you would like. Good sci-fi, like very good.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's on Amazon or
it's on Amazon.
No,
Netflix.
Either like right now. Well, no, we do have a Roku hooked up now. So maybe I'll be able to do it.
Sorry, I thought you would jump on that one. Sorry,
no.
Should be like
is that a spinoff or just a continuation?
A continuation.
It got shortened.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking stuff that's like sidebar, not like we.
Sorry,
yeah,
no, that's all right. Because that's like it's like Firefly. It just never finished, or Legends of Dark Water from when I was a kid.
Oh, dang,
that's a callback there.
Ooh, one that I personally would really love that. So Indiana Jones, Marion. So she's a character that I've just loved since I was a little girl. Like she's headstrong, she's brave, she's brash, she's got a lot of things going for her or against her, I guess, in a way. Her personality is also one of those things going against her. Yeah, she is. But I think that story of, talking about when she was younger and had known Indy and probably was a little too young when she first, got involved with Indy or Henry, whatever. And to know that story of when she left him, he left her, however it happened.
Right. Yeah.
And then how she got to that bar in, I don't think it was Nepal. I don't remember which country.
It was
Burma? No. Tibet?
Was it Nepal?
I feel like it's Nepal.
I think it's Nepal.
And that was the first thing I said too. I should go with my gut. But I would love to either get that story or write that story myself. Yeah. I would hate to write it because then it feels like fan fiction. But at the same time, what's the difference between, fan fiction and these spinoffs that we're sort of talking about just because they're canon?
Yeah, just pitch it. And if it gets picked up, then it's not fan fiction anymore.
That's true. That's true.
One line of that did not age well. Like, she was like, I was young. And he's like, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, it did not.
I was like, whoa.
Yup.
Right.
That is some early 80s
read into it. Like, it's canon that she was, I'm not going to say what age she was. She was not technically an adult yet.
Oh,
but
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's very complicated. It was I hate using time to justify because it does not. But this happened in like the,
50s?
like early, no. Because World War II is happening. So
probably 20s. I think that first film is set in the 30s. So there's Nazis, but
36?
There's no World War II
38 maybe?
Gotcha.
I think, but like, so that means her story would have been like probably 10 years
Correct.
earlier.
Yeah.
Like 20s.
Yeah. So it doesn't justify, it does explain. And I would love to explore it in a way and actually kind of make Indy a little bit of a bad guy.
Right. I want to say to that effect is that like they try, like I say, try to do it in the movies where they'll bring her back, but she's just used as like this, like a piece, like for Indy to react to. Mm-hmm. Like, she's not fleshed out anymore. It's just like, remember Marion? Here she is again. Remember Marion? Let's put her back in there. Just so like, this is Indiana Jones, she's not fleshed out. There could have been a story, like you said, just with them two, or just following her, like, which is why, like, why when I did my 2 stories on my next 2 stories, it splits and follows 2 characters happening at the same time. Because I felt like both those stories needed to be told because they come back together at the end of both of them. So, yeah, but they could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So you just really connected with that character. And you just I want to know everything about this character.
And I feel bad for her in a way because where she ends up when he, reunites with her is she's not in a great spot. Like you said, she's an alcoholic, she was kind of messed up from that relationship. And
she owns the bar, but like she doesn't seem like she is necessarily thrilled with her life.
Yeah,
right.
Not in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got? What are you gonna go back to Babylon 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I actually have several, there's several examples from Babylon 5, like characters, like maybe I want some Zathras backstory. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. But
Just make up words.
there was a King Arthur character who wasn't really King.
Oh.
Well, spoilers, not really King Arthur. It's not really a spoiler. They kind of indicate like, no, his speech patterns are all wrong. I'm like, he's too contemporary. He's like, so what's going on? And you find out the same episode, you find out who he is. Yeah. But like, I didn't know this until a couple months ago. So the actor who played him, Michael York, is like a well-known English actor. Like he's been in stuff.
Sounds familiar.
And there was a spinoff of Babylon 5 called Crusade, and it got canceled after 13 episodes because the network was basically trying to sabotage it because they're like, the ratings are good on Babylon 5, but it's not the stuff we normally do. So there's not a lot of cross-pollination between audiences. So they started like creating ridiculous conditions so that he would fail to meet them, and then they could just have a reason to cancel it. But anyway, they had actually wanted the actor who played Arthur in the earlier Babylon 5 episode wanted to come back and be on that show. He was going to be like maybe the captain.
Sure.
And they only didn't go with that because Sci-Fi already had an English captain named Jean-Luc Picard.
He's French.
But what's funny is their ship was called the Excalibur. So this Arthur guy, like that would have fit perfectly.
Yeah.
But that would have been a really interesting story. But like one of the main ones that I really want to see, I'd mentioned in a previous episode of the podcast, there was this episode where it was the one on islands where there's this whole society that gets wiped out by this plague that started on an island on their planet. And like dead ended because of the weather isolating this island. And then it came back later, wiped out the population, like the whole, basically this whole civilization. And there's maybe like a few, like a few thousand or maybe a few million surviving elsewhere on isolated colonies or something. But the society, like the civilization was destroyed.
Yeah.
I want to see 2 spinoffs on that, or maybe a related spinoff. I want to see those survivors and what they deal with, what they do, how do they organize, do they find each other, what do they create, what do they do, but also the xenoarchaeology spinoff of people, because like they do address it later of people are using the local jump gate to strip the place bare. But even you could go thousands of years in the future too and do a xenoarchaeology campaign on that planet.
Sure.
Right.
And you could accidentally port this virus back with you too. I could see so many spinoffs based on stuff like that. And they've done spinoffs. They've done like TV movies like the Minbari War, which is that's like a prequel and stuff like that. So yeah, it's rife with, that's what you need. I think when you were talking about, like, I love Marion so much, this character, sometimes there's an untold story. You're like, I want to fill that in. But other times I feel like these things are opened by, there's such a plethora of setting material like there is with Tolkien, where you're just like, there's so much there that it feels like spinoffs would be easy.
Right.
Just increase that amount of richness in that world.
Right.
And that's kind of one where I would like to see that.
You got to be careful though. Like, it's just, again, sometimes you just got to let things be, you know. I get it, again, as authors and anything, and we can always think of something. We can always plot something out and everything, but like, I would have been fine with just one Matrix, like, you know.
Oh yeah. The first movie. Yeah.
But there's a wonderful scene again in the third movie where they're fighting on a dock, and I just love it. Like, it's like, cause it's good. It's sci-fi. You don't really get to see with like big mechanized, like, suits and robots and everything. And like, you see that in anime all the time, but like, you never seen that in live action. Like,
yeah, there needs to be more of that in live action.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, well, actually Pacific Rim did a good job. Like, cause that whole, like, Rim. Almost the Evangelion type of big robo fighting kaiju Godzilla characters and everything. That was fun and everything. And it's one of those things where it's just like, anime is finally, I think, reaching like a really high point where they're doing well in theaters and people can see the value of it. Cause like there was a movie just recently, like Demon Hunter, whatever. It was an anime and it's gonna reach like $1 billion.
Whoa.
Like, for an anime. That's crazy, And I just don't think people take these movies seriously. Like when they saw Pacific Rim, it was like, what? Big robots? This is what is Power Rangers? Like, people didn't didn't get it. Like I hate saying that.
I think a lot of people were like, oh, "This plot sucks."
For the first one.
Well,
or for the Pacific Rim?
I think for the Pacific Rim.
Oh,
I did.
I loved it.
Disclaimers: I did not see it, so I can't say.
Mm-hmm.
But
you might feel that way because I know that it wasn't a perfect plot. I think it was very almost like more of like a Japanese like sort of cultured plot versus like Americanized version. Right?
Yeah, that's probably where they lost a lot of people. And so it's like, well, this is just to have giant robots, blah blah. Blah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's what you want. Is like the world building people want with a plot that people want with characters that people want. And that's what you need.
And that actually happens a lot with like the foreign like kung fu martial arts films that I watch. I'm like, I want this creativity with an American style plot, like beginning, middle, and end.
Or hell, just like East meets West. It doesn't even have to be American. Just East meets West.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of the ocean. Yep.
Yeah, Hawaii.
Island, so.
No, it's true. And I think that sometimes, it is there are a lot of cautionary tales sort of out there. I don't know if that phrase is right, but that there are some like, I don't want to say bad examples, but like kind of there's.
We're being subjective here.
Yes.
You can say bad examples.
I'll say bad examples. That's my hot take, because I think that even Star Wars is kind of getting to a point of, as we were talking last week's episode, how like we were talking about our process and our methods, and, just because George Lucas had, episodes 1 through 9, like in mind, the way that the gaps are being filled in is not exactly consistent.
Right.
And the tone isn't exactly staying true through all of them. Like, even though I loved Andor season 1, season 2, I would take it or leave it. But Rogue One, those bookends, I loved. And there's some of my like favorite, I would say, content that's come out in like the last 10 years. I mean, I won't include Marvel, like the MCU or anything, or Endgame, anything past Endgame, I'm not a fan of. But with that tone being so drastically different than the entire like, main movie series, let's say, what's canon, it does feel not wrong, because I loved it. But in a way, the strategy is not like, it's like they're not all talking to each other. Not all the parts are fully cohesive with one another.
And that historian or whatever, like that one main record keeper person. Yeah.
They need some really good continuity consultants.
Yeah. And I think I mean, there's so many people that would be willing to do it too.
I mean, hell, there's people who would do it for free on the internet.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes.
I think those studios get way too involved. Like, again, these people who like, you gotta have this and this and this, and just like, no, this is a story we need to tell. Get out of the way. We're going to tell a good story. But it's like I always reference Ender's Game for this, like Orson Scott Card for years rejected like offers for them to make that movie, because everybody wanted to make it a romance between Ender and I think Petra. And it's just like, no, that's not what the story is about. And everything, stop it. And then they would write into the contracts, like, we'll make our best attempt at not having the story be this way, because like you lose all right or all say in the script. They get to do whatever. But if you write in there, it's like, no, you can't have this romance. But they say, oh, we'll make our best effort. And like, you're not. There is no best effort for you guys. You're gonna do whatever the hell you want. Like, come on.
Yeah, everyone says we're making our best effort. Well,
yeah. So it's again one of those things where you just. It's a weird thing where things get away from you at some point, and it's just like when it doesn't become yours anymore. It's almost like that scary thing. It's like, I would love to see any of my stuff as an anime or as a movie and everything, but it scares me to think about what somebody could do with it. Yeah. Like, I
actually think if I can interject another example, I think Game of Thrones is another one of these where he should have finished the book series before the TV series was given, power to be, because the way I didn't finish watching the TV series, but the way that I heard that it ended was such like a slap in the face to the people that did love the books because of just the way that it ended. I don't want to speak for it. I don't want to speak for any producers or anything, but from a writing standpoint, and from a continuity standpoint, it's almost like you have to make sure that the canon is solid before it's translated to another medium.
You want the canon to be solid or it won't handle the explosion.
That's right. That's right.
It occurs to me that probably this isn't strictly true, but I think canon is one of those things that it's a term that most people only encounter in nerdcore. Canon material is basically official material that's put out by the intellectual property. So it excludes fanfic or things like that. So that's what we mean. But so the canon, the play words there.
That's true.
Or like the author will say like, this is what it actually is true. Even if it's not written anywhere else, like that becomes canon.
Yeah. It's like the biblical phrase. It's not canonical or whatever. But I think it's funny that, we're talking about this sort of thing, but we've all done it in our own stories too. Like your whole second book is a spinoff in a way.
It is
like
very much.
It was a gateway that you went through.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a revelation that happened when writing the first book. That like main character that I thought was main character isn't the main character, and it was somebody else. So I had to write their story. And there's going to be a little spoiler. This is coming out closer when I'm going to do this, but there's going to be a little bit of a rearranging of the flow of the books. So.
Because self-published authors can do such a thing and have every right and every freedom to do so.
I might make some people mad, but don't worry. I have ways to fix it for you guys.
We have the right to do that too.
Yeah, we do. Well, that's the thing, but it's kind of nice, isn't it? That like no one gets to tell us what, how, and where we should tell a story,
So
we get to tell George R.R. Martin, but but yeah, like I'm curious, like, is there any character like in your own stuff that you're like, I can't really follow this, but I'm kind of like tempted to?
Oh, Quack, yeah. Like, oh, absolutely.
Quack in a quack, quack.
I have my main series, and then I have a trio. I feel like almost every series has a trio in a way.
Story is a trio,
and I have like beginnings for them, and I want so badly to write them and publish them out now. But in a way, like you were saying, I don't know if it was this episode or last week, we were talking about how sometimes you see the open door being there and you want to peek through because there's something on the other side, but you have to just eyes forward soldier, keep on, with the plot that you're eyes on the prize.
You never get it done. Yeah.
But I totally do. And I totally would love to see them in different mediums too, because, just because I do like writing, novels, that is, I think, my preferred medium to work in, but seeing Rio working on some, not too many spoilers, but comics for spinoffs in his own world. I'm like, I would love to see certain characters' stories in a visual format. Not everybody's, but certain ones I would love.
Yeah, I did well with that. So this comic that she's talking about, I had this, I was making actually like, you know what machinima is, or like just, it is this term that I don't think people use anymore. It's like taking video games and then using the in-game graphics to record videos and basically make a movie.
So you're making a movie out of like these like graphics engines that I've seen a little bit of that.
Like, so I was playing a video game where you could I don't know if I should even divulge this, but you can
did you make porn?
No. But you can manipulate the characters inside the game engine on your client side, which means it's just happening on your computer. And then like, so I could pose them in like places. So if they're doing like action pose or whatever, or like have them do specific like animations are not in the game normally, but then it gave me the freedom to do more stuff. And I was making these videos and I had this idea and I took that as like, I can never profit off of this. But I can use the idea and I can put it into my own story. And then so slowly I was kind of tweaking it and refitting it to my own story. And then again, became a gateway to that. But it's like, but this has to be a visual thing because some of the jokes won't land. Some of the visuals won't make sense, even if I describe it beautifully, which I wouldn't. But there's like the visual medium has a different feeling to it, right? So I hope that comes out well. I'm really excited about that, and it just again adds to, because now there's some more beasts that are not in any of my books now that I'm again adding to the world and stuff like that, and that's a lot of fun.
It's almost like an inspiration engine.
I like that.
Oh.
What was it run on? Protoculture?
There's like a subtle play of words there to be had too.
Yeah.
Like the fuel source, or is it like not real culture?
Yeah.
And then for you, Oscar, like, do you have anything, that you would?
I think, God, I get so wrapped up in certain characters. Like I just wrote this, kind of traitor character, and I'm he's more. I'm already making him more interesting than he needs to be.
Sure.
And I'm like, I got to limit that, But I think that even my starting characters, I've added two main characters in book 2, and things really did have followed them to some degree, and I like how that's going. But there's so many other characters, I have. I can't have people follow Jan like that. That can't really be much. But he does tell this story of how he arrived in the New World. And there's also his story about, a little backstory here. In the 17th century, there was germ theory. Oh. And it came about 100 years earlier. Sure. It was only really prevalent, an accepted theory or a circulated theory in basically 2 universities in the world.
Oh.
One was in Montpellier, France, South Coast, which is where Jan went. That's why he went there, because I researched that. The other was in Cairo, which is funny. There's another character who's from Cairo, but he has nothing to do with medicine. So, interesting.
What are the chances?
So this is part of why Jan actually speaks perfect French. But I could do a whole thing on that, just his school days, if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then there's how he got to the New World. He was married, came with his wife, everything, and his daughter, and came aboard, a Spanish merchant ship. And there was an outbreak of cholera or typhus or something in a Spanish, and it was a Spanish/Dutch colony. Because those actually existed.
Sure.
Which was weird. Yeah. And he helped, deal with that. And so he had familiarity with this town, which plays into book 2. But it's so fun to follow some of these characters. I actually really wanted to run for the RPG. I wanted to run a Cimarron campaign. So that's the ex-slaves and outlaws who live outside of one of the Spanish towns. They're in book 1. Yeah. And it gets addressed again in book 2.
Okay.
But I was I could do a whole thing on just them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's spinoffs that I happen that are very similar, some of the NCIS LA or whatever.
But as you say that, I feel again, we're back to, you can really only canonically, to use that word again, do proper spinoffs when the source material is already almost fleshed out. Mm-hmm. You can
have at least one story be done.
Yeah.
So this trilogy would not just one book. It's the story is the trilogy that has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then then we can go there.
Right.
Would you ever? Sorry, go ahead.
No, or you just have to do it extremely carefully. But that's the last thing I was going to say.
No, I was going to say, to kind of finish out. Would you ever let people write? Not fanfic, but continue your story, or write other, somebody writing her Koya story or something like that.
Oscar, would you let somebody?
I would. Well, first of all, my IP would have to be doing pretty well. IP, by the way, intellectual property.
Yeah.
For those who aren't doing
what happens when you go in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's one IP. I actually meant to mention that in the vehicles episode a couple weeks ago. When do we pee? But I would consider it. I might consider it less for the main characters.
Oh, sure.
Koya, Roy, Ajuban, and then the 2 others in book 2 who I won't name as main characters.
I just out of curiosity.
That's actually a good rule. Even though I say my main trio, I'd want to tell their prequels, but for other people to write them, that's
Lower Decks.
Oh,
secondary characters, secondary story.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the Star Trek animated.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, not just the episode.
I haven't seen it, but I like the concept.
It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
People, you can tell those people love Star Trek.
I challenge you all to a duel. Pick your weapons. I pick the mine.
Get out of here, Q. No, we are done with random stuff today. We're not dealing with any of your Q bullshit.
Like it is great. So
and what's funny is like, that'd be funny to call it the same thing, but I couldn't legally because there are lower decks.
Yeah.
I mean,
the bilge pumpers.
I think you could.
He's thought about this.
Title it that.
Yeah.
You could, but I think you could call lower decks because that one's technically Star Trek lower decks.
Right.
So.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, why don't we just kind of simmer down now?
Simmer down. But a very interesting topic, I think, because we all have, definitely thoughts and feelings on spinoffs, good, bad examples. And we sort of all have rules for ourselves if we were to ever consider doing it for ourselves, and you for already doing it, which does take courage to do and want to expand. And sometimes we acknowledge too that there might not be a reason to expand, like to just leave the source material as it is and, let people explore their fan fiction and have fun with it. But, just let it be.
Yeah.
And I would say, as a little aside here, there's an argument to be made that Pulp Fiction, it being the method of storytelling there, is a collection of side stories where there is no one main story.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because, I mean, maybe together they create a main story. That's arguable too. But, I mean, it's kind of composed in a sort of unique way. I think this is a very Tarantino sort of approach.
Sure.
And that's where that fourth leg comes in, because we talked about spinoffs based on character or plot or world building.
Yeah.
But that might be a way of like where the construction itself is, it's like composed of spinoffs.
Right.
Interesting.
Or like Cloud Atlas. But anyways, maybe we can talk about that next time.
Heck yeah.
Side stories that culminate into main stories. All of them. But
a lot to be mined there.
I hope you. How far will
We'll do
it
a
be?
spin-off episode on it. Sorry.
A spin-off episode of like us just like our day before we actually get to the podcast, and like, how we're like, I gotta get coffee, but oh no, I dropped my coffee on my way here, and be like,
Oh, funny.
yeah. And that's why and then you get into it's like Starbucks cracking sucks.
Damn it, I dropped my script on the floor.
Yeah.
Or a cat attack. Sibby needs to be fed before we start the episode.
Cute.
She is very cute. But thank you everybody again for joining us. Let us know in the comments if you have any thoughts on what we are, talked about here, whether or not you liked things that we referenced that we would love to see, because we obviously would love to talk about those if anybody was interested. And then also, if the comments in YouTube are not enough, or whatever platform you are commenting on, join us on Discord. Again, we're happy to discuss anything that we talked about in this episode.
Absolutely.
And, to even hear what your ideas are of what you would want potentially as spin-offs, because like we said, fan fiction is kind of similar, but it's all dreaming. It's all, trying to think of additional thought bubbles there.
Yeah, part of why I did role-playing games was I could create my own spin-offs.
Fair enough.
I did Lord of the Rings spin-offs. I did, like any kind of intellectual property that already exists. I mean, even historical spin-offs, that's what historical fiction is.
Interesting.
So what are the spin-offs you would like to see? Like what things were you watching or reading or consuming that you would like a spin-off of? Even if it's a song, like I want to hear more about these two people you just referred to. There's a song called 88 Lines about 44 women. That's 44 potential spin-offs right
That's
there.
right.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for stopping by. We will catch you in a week, and be good till then. See you later.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.